We were invited by Sarah Raza as part of the exhibition But a Storm is Blowing from Paradise to create a new piece that responds to the themes of the exhibition. So it's a new action commissioned by the Guggenheim, for which we, Public Movement, conducted research in New York into the museum archives and collections. And we were looking for the ways in which publicness, politics, modernism appears in the museum collection, and also the way it ties back to public movement on research, history, and methodologies.
It was important for us to arrive in Sarah's show, that the procession begins through a meeting between the audience and the public movement members. So by having everybody gather with this outlook of the park, there's an implicit connection there, I think, that you can find through the lineage of public movement's practice. These spaces, the boulevard, the square, and the museum, that indicate the Western modern ideal.
We don't produce objects, we produce the live event and the live interaction with the public, and the general public of the Guggenheim is moving around also. So it creates two sides of public movement and different kinds of ways of interactions with the other pieces. One of the works that we are bringing into her exhibition space is a reproduction of a painting that was hanging at the Tel Aviv Museum of Art in 1948. And the State of Israel was proclaimed from within the Tel Aviv Museum of Art, within the main gallery hall. It's a very radical moment in which art and politics perform themselves in the construction of the museum.
There are definitely layers to the performance and layers of access to it. I would say that in those more intimate moments, as much as it is about sharing secrets, it's also a little co-conspiratorial, that it's about transporting some knowledge that actually is part of the public sphere, is just embedded and isn't always put up at the forefront of things.
In 1967, Mrs. Lobel bought a small painting by Chagall. She couldn't know it was stolen from the Guggenheim by a mailroom employee.
And in that sense, it ties back to some of Sarah Raza's concepts for the show, this idea of intellectual contraband, or the idea of smuggling information, that somehow part of what we're smuggling isn't so much an object necessarily, but the ideas that are activated by paying attention to the history of the object. We find a historical moment where the behavior of the citizenship is being trained or is beginning to be performed at a large scale. And so we think of the museum as a kind of training ground. And so we're very interested as we're moving people through the museum in what their expectations are for how to behave in that space and how our presence there may activate those expectations or alter them. We begin to descend into the depth of the museum, going through this kind of historic trajectory into the collection galleries, which is really an invitation to think about what does it mean to collect? What are the kind of political forces that we can begin to understand are still at play through the notion of modern art collections, through the act of collection building, and how does that connect to our broader ideas about different geopolitical situations and circumstances? What are the relationships between the two?
So we created a new choreography for Choreographies of Power, and we performed it in front of the Rousseau painting called The Football Players that was scratched in a small museum fire here in 1967. And the movement that we are performing there are taken from a documentary film called Ways to Strengthen Beauty from 1925. It's a collection of different strategies that doctors and physiologists have developed in order to prepare the new human. They wanted to bring back the body to the nature, to connection with other humans, but also it's a generation that afterwards went to war, and how you make the transition between a more romantic movement into a more militant movement. So we worked specifically for the changeover time, for the moment in which the museum is cleaning itself from the last exhibition and getting prepared for a new one to come. It's a very poetic moment for the museum. It's a very special moment for us to interact with it. If you follow the path of the painting, you follow the path of politics.